Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mobius here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over, is Black Ops 6 a solid installation as a competitive Call of Duty? Now, there's several things that really make Call of Duty a solid competitive title. And year to year, it's been hit or miss, right? But right now, we're just going to be looking at multiplayer because all we have is the beta right now. So there's some, fine tuning that we could be doing in the beta, taking a look at several different things, how it looks, how it feels. So let's take a deep dive into that and let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are we up for a good year? Is it gonna be a solid competitive Call of Duty year? Let me know, man. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I think Skyline can be a 3-mode map potentially. Has a lot to offer, kind of a more traditional 3-lane map with a little bit of a twist with that underneath area. I think S&D will play really well on that map, especially with that little underneath area for
I
maybe
agree.
like a flank or something.
Little outplays and shit.
Yeah, so I think that map will definitely be an S&D map, potentially a control map. I think it could be pretty balanced. Like you'd have an A zone and like bar and a B zone at jacuzzi.
Control could be fun on that map, but I mean, so we have control. So the map, the game modes are going to be hardpoint, S&D, and control moving forward. I'm mixed feelings about control as well. I kind of feel like we should get a capture the flag, but I don't know. Control could play really good with this movement system.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously you would love to have a capture the flag, or like a, what is it, link up or
Uplink.
that one mode that they uplink.
Yeah,
that they used to have.
Uplink plays so good with jetpacks. And as a caveat
Yeah,
here, I could see them throwing in first off the grapple into Black Ops 6, but I could. This movement wants to have a little booster pack. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think it maybe like originally was designed, like the bones of it were for like an AW2. I think there were some rumors of that like earlier this year, like in Advanced Warfare 2.
It does play like a boots on the ground AW. It really does.
Yeah, it does. It does. Which I really love. I love the feel of this game so far, the movement, and time to kill. I know we're gonna get into that stuff, but yeah, I think the gameplay is great so far. The maps, going back to the maps, kind of just close this off. So far, they're definitely beta maps. Beta maps. Skyline's the best. I think Derelict could actually have some potential for like a hard point or a control maybe. It's a little bit weird, but sometimes on those hard points, it actually doesn't play too bad. The hard points I think are pretty well thought out. But I don't think Scud or Rewind will be competitive. But you never know. We got to see what maps come out.
They throw in like an oddball map in there sometimes that they're the community likes to challenge a little bit. I mean, Scud, yeah, I agree. I feel like that map's pretty one-sided. It's like if you get satellite control, and you control the flanks as well on that, you pretty much hold it down. Rewind, I like the idea for it. It's just weird, and I don't know how callouts would work because you have all those individual little shops, and you'd have to memorize the different names of the different shops for callouts. I don't know. I feel like it's almost like it's a 3-lane map with 3 really long lanes. So I don't know. Yeah. And then you have that little restaurant out there. I don't know. It just doesn't flow right to me.
No, I don't think it does. I think it's like a map that's off of Liberty Falls. Like kind of like one of those Warzone maps. Remember, I think MW2 did it, remastered, where they cut up a bunch of the Warzone maps, and it just like didn't feel like true.
Yeah, I know. And going back to Skyline, Skyline is giving some raid vibes, almost.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's definitely what I get the raid vibes for sure. Which is arguably the best competitive map ever made, and obviously it's not raid, but it has a good feel to it so far. I think 4v4 is going to play pretty well on that map. So I'm excited to see the pros getting into it.
And I know what we've said this before, but it's worth saying again. Like Skyline feels like the signature, at least for right now, it feels like the signature Black Ops 6 multiplayer map. It's giving like MW2 or MW3 hotel vibes. Where it's just like whenever that map pops up in rotation, you're like, let's fucking ride, But yeah, so I guess going into the movement here, how are we feeling about Omni movement? Like, how is that going to play into competitive multiplayer, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Omni movement is one of the best things to happen to COD in a long time. I think there's going to be some really sweet outplays. Like, I saw Shotzi just hit like a backward slide on two guys that were kind of like, running at him and hit like a 2-3 piece for a play of the game.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of potential for outplays
I
with
know,
the
dude,
Omni
and even
movement. I think
Celium with an AR in what's that pillar type map called? What it's not in the beta pool yet.
Babylon.
Babylon. Celium at Babylon at COD Next. He was moving with the Plague Doctor AR like laterally in between those pillars, in between cover. I mean, just absolutely piecing. So yeah, I mean, dude, some of the map pools combined with the Omni movement. But I mean, so let's have the conversation about movement because, obviously there's a big phenomenon going into this game right now with like the double Ying, 360ing, kids that really don't have the ability to center properly, but their movement is all over the place. And I think Warzone kind of popularized that, but you see a lot of that now tracking in popular culture with Call of Duty. And it's almost like chess versus checkers, right? You have people like Shotzi and Celium and some of your more seasoned Call of Duty players. It's, Call of Duty at a, competitive level in the CDL, it has its foundational core of, lane checking, pre-aiming, getting timings, and none of that includes crazy movement, right? So there could be a level to where doing too much with your movement and doing too much with the Omni movement, and especially in multiplayer, it's actually going to hurt you.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think what you said is absolutely correct. I think, like, again, there's going to be a lot of outplays. There's a lot of like movement and like different moves, like offense and defensive moves that you can do with this Omni movement.
At the
It just
right
depends
place
on
at
your
the right
situation.
time.
At the right
Yeah.
place, yes, it's very situational, right? Like, I'm not diving around every single, and you see these pros, like they're not diving around every single corner trying to like hit this crazy clip. Like,
Right.
they're gonna play off of like what you give them, and then when they can kind of be more on the offensive side of things, like they're gonna make a
100%.
move on
And
you.
I'm a big fan of it because
Yeah.
I've always been like the way my mind works. I'm very fast and reactive, and I like to press a lot of buttons. I like to double Y, but at the same time, I enjoy being able to center and be a solid Call of Duty player. So it's very interesting to me with all of the movement and outplay abilities, the athleticism that's added into it is like kind of understanding these new button combos, tucking them in the backpack, and then like understanding when is the right time to use them and not spam. And it's going to add a lot of flavor to the game. I'm excited for it, man. I think we're in for a really exciting year, a really athletic year. And the movement, I think, is a W. I think it's like the perfect temperature for me where it feels like a new game almost. Like it feels like I've been itching for a new first-person shooter to play almost because Call of Duty's just been letting me down over the last couple years, and I've gotten my hopes up, and then they kind of dropped the ball, and there's all these issues going on. This movement system, this game, the map pool, the 4-year development cycle it's getting me excited, man. It really is.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, like you said, it feels like a true Black Ops game. Feels like a true Treyarch game, and I think these guys at Treyarch really care about the product they put out. And because I think they also play the game, and they really listen to the community. And I think, like you said, over this 4-year cycle, they've pretty dialed this in pretty solidly. I mean, I think it's the best beta that I've played in
100%.
quite some time.
100%, dude.
Yeah. So I mean,
It feels like a complete game almost. Obviously we don't have all the weapons or the maps that we want. We don't have all the content, but to some regards, like it feels complete. Now we need better audio, and that kind of ties in with movement too. I think the audio, for the most part, it's pretty good, right? We have some, new 3D spatial recognition reverb. I think the verticality of audio sounds a lot better in this build. But having said that, I think one thing, and I want to reference Cold War here, obviously, because this game does feel very Cold War-esque, but as far as the audio goes, do you remember when you would slide cancel in Cold War or just slide, the audio cue would be so fucking loud for that it would penalize you. So it's almost like a Cold War on steroids with movement audio combination where you need to decide when you're going to move and how, because you don't want the audio to penalize you. I'm really interested to see how that plays in this game, because we don't really know what the audio penalties for certain movements are yet, especially in a beta and a 6v6. People are spamming nades. There's a lot of gunfire in the 6v6, 12 people on a map. It's hard to really dictate. Obviously, sometimes you can hear that audio situationally, vertically, spatially, but I think that the audio is going to play a big role in the competitive development of this game for 4v4. I'm excited to see how. Obviously, once we have, and who knows, maybe in week 2 of the beta, we get some private matches or like a glitch to get into custom lobbies where we can kind of get a better idea of what that's going to be like. But yeah, excited to see how the audio plays a role in the competitive aspect as well.
Yeah, I think that's interesting you bringing up the audio. I don't think like, audio is definitely not as much of a concern in multiplayer versus like compared to
But
Warzone. But
for
I
sure,
I
for
do
sure.
think that but I do think that when you bring up audio, what I think of immediately is Dead Silence or Ninja. If we're gonna have Dead Silence as a field upgrade, or are we gonna have Ninja as a perk that we just haven't seen yet in this beta? Um, Personally, I think I'm always for Ninja as a perk because I think I don't know, using it as a field upgrade just isn't as I don't know, pure COD to me. I like just to be running around quiet and have people try to
100%.
read me rather than hear me.
100%.
So
I would agree with that.
we'll
I
see
want to
though.
also enter into this conversation the Art is War audio phenomenon. I think Art's a great guy. I actually like what he does. I actually come from an audio engineering background as well. So for me, it's a very interesting take that one person could change the entire audio landscape of the competitive environment. We're talking more on the Warzone side of things, but it did have an impact on multiplayer, especially at the beginning of MW3, because I actually had the Art is War presets, the original ones that he designed, and you were able to hear Dead Silence. You were able to hear combat boots. Was it the combat boots? Which one was it?
Yeah, it was. Um, I forget what
You,
boots they were,
you were
but
able to hear like the Dead Silence boots. I forget what the fuck they're called, but it sounded like little ink, like a tinkle of glass. You know what I mean? Like people were stepping on glass a little bit. And like if you were trained yourself to hear that with the Art is War presets, you had a competitive advantage. So kind of interested going into, further into the multiplayer experience here, Black Ops 6. Are audio presets going to continue to be a thing? Will Art is War continue to drop his audio and they will give an advantage even in multiplayer? Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation.
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not quite sure. I didn't use those. I think that was MW2 when you would pop Daddy,
No, it
and
was
you could hear that
MW3 because I
little.
remember using it on
Was it
terminal.
MW3?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that is interesting. I think like, obviously for S&D that's gonna play more into a factor because
Right,
there's less
right,
like
right.
stuff going on around you, but like hard point or control any respawn mode, there's gonna be shit going on that's just kind of you can't really sound for. I mean maybe, you don't know. But yeah, I think moving forward we have a really solid base of a game right now, and I'm excited to see what Treyarch can do over the next 8 weeks. Well, I'm excited to see what we get in the second week of the beta, and then I'm excited to see over the next 8 weeks how they really tune this game, because I think for a beta where we're at right now, I'm really excited to see this final product.
Facts. Yeah, I'm excited, man. So like TTK and weapon balancing, obviously we're just all playing in the Jackal beta right now, where it almost feels like if you use anything else, you're penalized, man. So, and I think to go along with that, the one thing that I don't like about the weapon balancing in the beta right now is that the Jackal's so good, and to couple with that, the weapon leveling takes a pretty long time to get to like max level with your weapons. So it's like, if I want to pull out the C9, I have to like battle through the trenches to get all the attachments that I need to make it competitive or make it even half decent. And that it just like, I'm just going to switch back to the Jackal, so far I'm liking the feeling of the Jackal SMG, obviously, and the XM4 AR feels really good. I want to talk a little bit about the potential metas, though, moving into full game release, because we haven't seen the Tanto in the beta yet. And it's a little bit of a slow fire rate SMG, but it looks nasty, man.
It does look nasty. And I want to touch on something you said real quick on the leveling up for the weapons. I think they just tweeted something out, Treyarch, maybe a few days ago, that said that they are going to shorten the amount of time that it takes to level up a weapon. You love seeing Treyarch just responding to the
So
community
hands on,
and
dude.
being update. Like, I don't think we saw that with the other two studios over the past few years. But Treyarch is always looking to improve the user experience, which is awesome to see. But in terms of the Tonto and moving into weapon balancing, Tonto looks really fun. Looks like the Milano from Cold War.
It
I'm really
does.
excited to see that. Um,
It does. That was
I
such a fun gun to use.
so fun. I kind of love the slow fire rate submachine
I
guns. I
do,
think they're
dude.
super fun to
I
use.
do too. The only thing though that I want to add with slower fire rate weapons, especially the SMGs, especially the ARs, or but I think a big thing that goes into this that gets overlooked with slower fire rates is like the server ticks and packet loss. Because once you have a slower fire rate weapon and you have a little bit of packet loss going on, I mean, it just amplifies the issue, or it amplifies, it amplifies the issue of packet loss because you're just shooting ghost bullets sometimes. So I'm all down for the Milano vibes, the Tonto slow fire rate meta SMG, if that does become a thing. But I would love to see them do a little bit more work on the servers if that's going to be the case, because that could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point you bring up. And I'm not like a server guy. I'm not like a tech nerd. Wish I was, but where I could put some more input into this conversation. But maybe it goes the other way too. If I'm shooting at a guy that's on 5 ping and he's shooting a fast fire rate gun and I'm shooting a fast fire rate gun, like his gun's gonna kill me just as fast, if not faster with that latency, whatever. Another thing, I do think that there may be a little bit of a packet burst issue with the beta servers. Again, they're beta servers. They're running on, I think, completely different game that we're going to be playing on in 8 weeks. Correct?
Yeah.
So we'll see if that changes. But I definitely have noticed a few packet bursts. Nothing insane though. I know there's been some issues though, but I have a trust in Treyarch to fish
Yes.
that out and figure it out.
Yeah, iron everything up. So I guess you
Yep.
mentioned some potential GAs earlier, which we can get into as far as what our thoughts are and what might be potentially GA'd and everything. But it's the CHF barrel, I believe it is, which actually enables you to have a headshot multiplier as an attachment on your weapons. Coming stock in the game, it's unique this year. There's actually no headshot multiplier, which is interesting, and I'm kind of curious what you think on a competitive level about that.
Yeah. First off, big fan of that. I think again on a competitive level, big fan of not getting headshot cheesed, every other life by an MCW or a rival.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good from a 4v4 rank play, wager, whatever you play perspective. I think there's going to be a little bit less cheese there. And then I think that CHF barrel is probably going to get GA'd. If not, pros probably aren't going to use it. There
Really?
may be some kind of yeah, I have a feeling like it. I mean, I haven't played with it, but they aren't running it right now in the beta. Most pros are running let's see,
Like
they are
long
running
barrel.
the reinforced or the long barrel
Yeah.
for the Jackal at least.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling like probably it won't even be used, and if it is, it's
It's
probably
interesting,
GA.
and yeah, I feel like the CHF just really isn't as effective in the beta right now as it could be. If you threw it on and you hit 2 headshots and it got a kill, I think everybody would be using it. I think it's a little bit, it kind of follows suit where it just doesn't really do as much as it could, and maybe if they did buff that and it did a lot, it would probably be GA'd. So that's an interesting point too. Like you just don't see people using them right now, which I kind of want to talk to about the spawn system of the game, because when you think about a competitive Call of Duty, you think about the flow of the game, and that's a lot. That's two things, right? That's the movement of your character combined with the spawn system of the enemies that you're able to kill, and where they're spawning, when they're spawning, how they're spawning. It seems like we have squad spawns right now, and maybe some like temperamental like revenge spawn system going on. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of teams spawn on each other in a location, but then I might get a kill or something, and then like 20 meters behind me, the guy that I had just killed spawns like right on my ass. So what do you think about the spawn system as it sits in the beta right now?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said is what I've noticed. I think also they've done some tweaking over this weekend because the first day or two, like Friday into Saturday, it was really bad. Like, I mean, especially a TDM mode, where, non-objective mode, where you didn't really have an idea exactly of where the spawns were. They were all over the place, and I was getting spawned behind constantly. So I think they have done a little bit more tweaking. It does seem to be a team spawn COD as of right now. I think, again, Treyarch is really big in working with COD pros, CDL pros, and want to see this game be the best game it possibly can on that stage. So I have a feeling like they're going to be tweaking that over these next 8 weeks for sure, and really getting that down. Obviously, I think Cold War had great spawns. I think those were traditional COD spawns. MW 2019, MW2, and MW3 were, I think, more so squad spawns, which is definitely less preferred by, I think, most competitive players, because I think
Okay.
it's just a little bit funkier.
Hmm.
You get less like consistency, and it's harder to read spawns and where people are spawning.
Right.
Um, but we'll see here. Again, like you said, I've definitely had some weird revenge spawns where I've gotten spawned behind, and I've also spawned behind people. But again, it's a beta, man. I remember Vanguard was like that too, and
Yeah,
a
dude, the
few other of
Vanguard
these
spawns were
cards.
horrible in the beta. Oh my
They were
god,
terrible.
that was like miserable. So yeah, I guess I kind of just want to wrap up here by asking, like, what's your favorite, some of the your favorite moments that you've experienced on the beta right now? Like, what have you had the most fun with? Whether it be a gun, a mode, a map, a combination of all of it. What's kind of the calling card of this beta so far in competitive Black Ops 6?
Yeah, man. I think running around with the Jackal is extremely fun, and I think that's why everybody is doing it. But I also
Yeah.
think that using every single gun in the game is fun too. These guns feel and play and shoot really well,
They do.
and they're
They do.
fun. It's not like it's not like I just shoot the XM4 and I'm like, this gun like sucks. Like, no, like I enjoy using every gun here in the beta.
100%.
So, man, I think really to wrap it up, in my opinion, is this beta has been awesome. Right, I'll give this like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for a beta. I think it's in a really good spot to get polished up and be the best COD game that we've seen since Cold War, going back to maybe like BO3 or something. I'm a big fan of Treyarch. I think they're awesome. I think they communicate with the community, and they keep in touch with everything that we want. And I'm hoping that we have this finished product looking like an A.
100%. And something that I just want to add to the mix here, to wrap up the conversation, is that the weapon sway. That's another thing that I've noticed, and I think it's really heavily affecting the keyboard and mouse players. And I did see a tweet from Huskers. He's been in touch with a developer with his feedback, which is very valuable. You have somebody that's extremely experienced on KBM trying to provide feedback on things like that. But I've noticed it on controller too, man. Like, it's just, there's a lot of, with the Omni movement, there's a lot of weapon sway when you're jumping and sliding, which they actually reduced in Modern Warfare 3 from the beta to the game release. And it almost seems like they remediated that issue, and then we came into a new game with the old problems intact. So I think they're going to go away with that, reduce the weapon sway while moving. It just gives a better arcade feel while playing Call of Duty, in my opinion. I don't think we need all of the weapon sway, and right now snipers are impossible to use with flinch, stuff like that. So yeah, like you said, I think there is aspects that do need polished to really make this a special year, a competitive year for everybody. Call of Duty did originate as a controller game. I think gaming has just bridged to all inclusive. Like, we do have to find a way to include KBM and make the playing level fair for everybody. And I think there's little quality of life changes that do need to be tweaked, and really just iron out some of these issues. But hey, man, that's what a beta is for. And I think we're up for a really, really good competitive year with Black Ops 6.
Yeah, agreed.
Sweet. Thanks for chopping it up, brother.
Yep, absolutely.